What's up, guys? This is Cryptid Hunter. Do you guys want to hear a paranormal story? Stay tuned. Here on my YouTube channel, I'm going to tell you guys a story that I'm sure you're going to love. So stay tuned. Check it out. Hey guys, it's Cryptid Hunter. I'm back again. Like I was saying, I want to tell you guys a story that was related to me, and this happened to a man who used to be a taxi driver in Mexico. The story that he tells me is supposed to be true. He's the one that actually went through this event, so I'm gonna retell the story for you, and hope you guys like it. Okay. So this story takes place in Mexico, in a small town. The man used to be a taxi cab driver. He used to obviously work. He would work different shifts of the night, and this particular time he was working an overnight shift. He said it was not too much of a busy night. It was fairly calm. And as he was driving through town around 3 o'clock in the morning, there was people still out. A few people. And he happened to see this young lady. She was very young. She was dressed all in black. She was flagging him down so she can get in on the taxi. She needed a ride somewhere. So the guy pulls over. He gets off of the driver's side, goes and opens the door for her, and she goes inside and sits in the back seat. So he comes back to the driver's side and he asks her where she wants to go. The girl said that she wanted to go to the local church. Now the church he says, is very old church. It was still used back then. It was built in the early 1800s, but it was very old, very big, huge doors. Just old school church. So he goes ahead and drives her to the church. He gets out of the car, lets her out, and the young lady, she didn't want him to see her face. She would just kept covering her face, not necessarily covering her face, but she had like a veil over her face. So she decided to go towards the church, but she didn't go inside the church. She stayed by the steps, kneeled down, and to him it looked like she was praying. There was a couple other people that were still inside the church that were coming out, but he found it kind of rude that nobody would really give her any space. They would just come out of the church and wouldn't really go around her. They were just kind of to him it looked like they were bumping into her, just going next to her. So he found that kind of rude, but it wasn't his place to say anything. He didn't know the girl, and he didn't want to start a fight with anybody. So the girl eventually finished doing her prayers or whatever she was doing, was walking back towards the cab. So the guy opened the door for her. She got him in the back seat. He comes around, goes back into the driver's seat, and he asks her again, where would you like to go? So the girl says, can you please take me to the local cemetery, or to the cemetery? So the guy was like, okay. He found it kind of weird that it was really late at night, around 3:30 in the morning, and she wanted to go to the cemetery at that time. So he just didn't question it. He drove her off to the cemetery. He got out of the car, let her out, and she walked to a new plot. There was a new plot, a new grave. It looks like somebody had just been buried there not too long ago. So he's waiting for her by the cab, and again he sees her, and she looks like she's kneeling down and speaking. He can hear some sort of whispering going on, but he couldn't make out what was being said. So eventually she finishes up. She starts walking towards the cab again. He opens the door, lets her in. He goes back to the driver's side, and he asks her again, where would you like to go? So this time, the young lady gave him an address. He's like, would you please take me to this address? This is where I live. So the cabbie went, okay, sure, no problem. So he drove her up to the address, and and she was okay, this is it. This is my house. This is where I live. So the guy gets out of the driver's side, goes around, opens the door, and lets her out. This entire time, he's not really, he can't really see her face. She's all covered up. She's all dressed in black. So the guy's like, okay, well, he gives her the price for for the driving her around. She's like, well, I'm sorry, I really don't have any money on me. Can you please come tomorrow around 10 o'clock? I'll make sure that my dad pays you. His name is Jose. So please just come in here and knock on the door and ask for my dad. He'll go ahead and pay you. So the cabbie was like, oh, well, okay. What's he going to do about it? It was already late at night. He didn't want to wake up her dad or anything. So he was like, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. So the cabbie goes back into his car, but he sees her and she's walking slowly towards her front door. Eventually she makes her way inside. And, he takes off and goes about his night. So the next morning around 10 o'clock, the cabbie goes back to the house to get paid, and he knocks on the front door. He asks for Jose like she asked him to, like she told him to. So her dad comes out, and he's like, hi, can I help you? And the guy was like, yeah, I gave your daughter a ride yesterday, and she asked me to come today so I can get paid. And the guy was like, what do you mean you gave my daughter a ride yesterday? He's like, yeah, your daughter told me to come drop her off. She had me drive her to the church and then to the cemetery, and then she told me that if I can come back today so I can get paid because she didn't have no money on her. So immediately the father starts getting irritated, and he calls on his wife. So the wife comes out, and she was like, what's going on? So they go through the whole thing again. Yeah, I picked up your daughter. I took her to the church, and then I took her to the cemetery, and then she asked me to drop her off. And, she told me to come today at 10 o'clock, ask for Jose so I can get paid. So the mom was like, what are you talking about? She's like, can you describe the girl for me? And he kind of gave her a brief description. He's like, I couldn't really tell about her face because she kind of kept it covered. It was late at night. There's not too many lights, so I couldn't really tell about her face. But she spoke like this, and she was dressed like this, and she looked like this and that. So immediately the mother starts crying, and the father starts getting really upset as well. And they're like, well, the person you're describing sounds exactly like our daughter, but our daughter's been dead for 2 years. So the cabbie just completely froze, right? So the cabbie totally froze up, and he was like, what do you mean she's been dead? And then the guy's like, yeah, she's dead. He's like, I can take you to her grave, I can prove to you that she's dead. She's like, I don't know who you gave a ride to yesterday, but it couldn't have been our daughter. Our daughter's been dead. And the cabbie was like, well, I saw your daughter go walk inside your house. I saw her walk right inside your house. She must live here. And the father was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So the father goes like, the mother's crying hysterically at this point. She's like, can you please take us to whatever cemetery? And did you see her get off the car? And where did she go? What plot did she go to? So then cabbie was like, yeah, I can take you exactly to where she went. So they were really upset, the parents. So obviously they jump in the cab, and he drives them off to the cemetery, and they all get out of the car. And they're like, well, this is the plot where she was leaning on or kneeling. It sounded to me like she was praying. So the dad was both the mother and the father started crying hysterically. There was the girl had left one pink rose that she really used to love on top of her plot, and it was her. They determined that it was indeed their daughter that had come back to for some reason and checked out, went to the church, and then went to the cemetery. And the mother had said that she always wondered why there was always one pink rose left on her marker, and she thinks that her questions were answered once this cabbie gave her that information. So I hope you guys like this story. I have many more that I'm going to be posting and putting up for you guys. So hope you guys like it. Please stay strange. Thanks for following my pages. Please hit subscribe if you like the story. I have, like I said, many more. I have a lot of paranormal investigations I'm going to be doing. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share our page, and I'll see you guys later. All right. Stay